despite all the clear negative impact that COVID pandemic has had, it is creating a number of these new opportunities and silver linings to that very dark cloud. So that's great to think about that context as well. So in order to implement these initiatives and direction, it's going to require greater collaboration than we've typically seen between higher education, government, and industry. So a couple of related questions on that. What are some of the obstacles we need to be aware of with that? And then ultimately, more importantly, how can we be as successful as we can be?
Yep. So let's start maybe with the actors that you pointed out. So I think for government, it's really about making sure that they do 2 or 3 really critical things. And can I just say, Dan, the department and the minister commissioned this report, and they've been incredibly welcoming of Peter's and my recommendations. But if you look at some of the recommendations, the Noonan review on the reform of the AQF to enshrine micro-credentials and build a more connected system, that's been out for quite some time now. So really our big shout out to government in our findings is, okay, and let's get on with it. You fully accepted the Noonan recommendations, so let's just get it done, because that's going to create the enabling framework. The second area is, for all of this to work, we need a common skills currency. What I talk about in the report is rich skill descriptors to be used by employers, to be used by individuals, to be used by education organizations and by government. So we're all speaking the same language. The Skills Commission has done a terrific job of taking their first few steps with Project JEDI in the vocational area, but our recommendation is that they be funded and allowed to extend that into tertiary education and beyond, Dan, so Australia has a well understood rich library of skill descriptors that we can all use. And then the third area, Dan, is there's a lot of initiatives being funded right now. You've got the National Micro-Credentials Marketplace, you've got the National Credentials Platform, you've got the National Careers Institute, you've got the National Skills Initiative and the Commission that I've already talked about. We need to bring these initiatives together, Dan. Interoperability, open standards, transparent and effective APIs so that data can be written from a variety of sources. All of those things really need to be pulled together in these funded initiatives from the Commonwealth Government. And I'm working with them, and they are certainly putting a lot of time and effort into making sure that we do just that. So that's the important part there. I think for industry, Dan, they're up for it, but they would be the first to say they have to be part of the curriculum design process, the program design process, and they want to be. When we start talking about alternative credentials and wanting them to have immediate labour market impact, the more we can get industry working right alongside us to develop them, to teach them, to provide mentors for them, the more valuable those alternative credentials are going to be to the individuals. And then when it comes to education providers, universities, TAFEs, higher education providers of any type, I think an openness and a willingness to recognise that they have a role to play for the lifelong learner, that even though they may have traditionally focused on a sort of a younger profile of learner, government wants them to do it, industry wants them to do it, we want them to do it, you and I, Dan, but they've got to have an openness to doing things in different ways. Industry wants shorter, they want sharper, they want more industry enabled, they want them to have more direct link between what's being taught with the skills and the skills gaps and deficits that they have to be able to drive their organizations forward to innovate and remain competitive. And so it is going to require us as the education providers to engage with them in ways that perhaps we haven't done as much of in the past, Dan.
No, interesting, fascinating points there. And on your comment around the interaction and engagement with industry, I think traditionally, as you said, this is not just all starting from nothing today, but traditionally that's the industry involvement has perhaps been more visible on the vocational side, but certainly over the recent years, we've seen much more focus within the university sector on engaging that industry sector and really getting their input.
And even on the vocational side, Dan, the feedback that we had through the consultations is that we've got to speed up. These skills are becoming, perishable faster. Technology is changing at such a rapid rate that we can't sort of build programs together and then let them have a shelf life that is too long, because then what ends up happening is the graduates from those programs are again not as valuable in the labor market as we all would want them to be. So even in the vocational areas, it's about how can we speed up the review and adaptation of those programs is what we heard loud and clear.